Welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast, a weekly show about the entrepreneurial journey and making it big in any industry. We're your hosts, Joe White and Kane Daniel. Welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast. Today we're joined by Rashmeet Kaur, a dedicated mortgage professional licensed under ACAL Mortgages. With experience in the industry since 2016 and serving as a principal broker since 2022, Rashmeet brings valuable insights and perspective to the mortgage world. Rashmeet, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's my pleasure. And as I said, never thought of it that I'll be doing a course with Ramek and sitting here with you after a few years. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rashmeet, really good to have you with us. Maybe we can start out with just going back to the beginning of your career, wondering what it is that inspired you to get into the industry, or maybe even going back farther than that, like as a little kid. What did you want to do, and how did you end up in the mortgage space?
Yeah, that's starting from there. As a kid, I would say, I think I was in grade 6 or 7, maybe 12 years old. So my mom used to tutor. And I started helping her because she used to have large groups. So I used to help little kids. And by the time I was in college, I was having my own groups. Usually I used to teach high school math. And I was having fun making my own income. Then by the time my education finished, so I have double masters, one in math and the other one in education. So I started with a school. I started teaching in a school as a high school teacher. When I moved here in Canada, I got into a public school board in about a year. So I was lucky enough, I would say, to get into a public school board. In 2016, when I did this course, I was actually on my maternity leave. So I was thinking to get some flexibility from my teaching job. I was very happy there. All throughout my life, I have done teaching. So I was happy what I was doing. It wasn't that. But with my first child, and I knew that after that finishes, I have to go back to work, which is not easy. Easy in the sense it's you cannot take days off. You have to be there before the school starts. So many restrictions that ways. So it wasn't just the mortgage course. I actually did a business analyst course from University of Toronto. So I was just exploring. I just knew I like numbers. I'm a numbers person. And I just wanted to see what works. And clearly this worked. Here I am so I didn't start it's just 8 years now in the industry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here I am.
Yeah, time flies, doesn't it?
Time flies.
That's a good amount of time, though. 8 years. That's a good chunk of time. It wouldn't be just 8 years. So Rashmeet, sounds like you're a lot of education in your path so far. So you were initially inspired by the flexibility, which is, I think, one of the major benefits of this role. Tell us maybe about the first 6 months, first year in the industry. What was that like for you?
I would say everything rolled out fairly quickly. I came here for flexibility, for timings that I will be able to do, take care of the family as well. But this made me so busy very quickly, actually. Within first 3 months, I was able to close 10 deals. And that is when I realized that I can go full time on this one. And I started marketing as well, right away. So I just got very busy, very first year. And I got the Rookie of the Year award from Mortgage Alliance for the first year I did with them.
Yeah, maybe you can touch a bit on what led, or what you believe led to your early success, because that's getting shot out of a cannon right away.
Yeah, I believe my education background definitely helped me. Till date, I do not like to sell mortgages. I educate people. I tell them financial literacy, I would say. That's so very important, which you feel that it's not there. People do not understand sometimes. Sometimes you'll feel that they do a lot of work. They make so much good income, but where does it go? They themselves don't know. So that being said, I do radio shows. It's more of marketing thing, but at the same time, whenever I go on a show, I would never advertise that I sell mortgages, this is the rate. I've never spoken about rate. I take a simple word like equity. I'll say today we will just discuss equity. What does it mean? Because many a time I get a call saying that you always talk about equity. What is it? So I break it down to their level as a layman that they would understand. So I think that helped. Initially, I did not do any marketing. I just went to realtors and worked with them. But soon I realized I cannot work with them. But so
What drew you to that conclusion that you couldn't work with realtors?
the thing is the expectation. One, like they always want to be in the center, like they want us to communicate everything, what's happening, and then the pressure and the sense for them. I feel like when they get a client, they have a deal right there. But when we get a client, it might not be a deal, right? It might not convert into a deal because they do not qualify. But sometimes people don't understand that. And if I give a very clear, blunt picture up front, they might not like it. So, yeah, that's then that is there is a disconnect there, I believe.
So they didn't like what they were hearing at times.
Yeah, sometimes like if I'm telling the client as well, like you need minimum 20% down, or it will be a B lender. Day one, first meeting, first call, I'll tell them upfront like what to expect. And
Right.
some clients also want a only if they're purchasing a house. So yeah, so I just understood the fact that if I'm getting a direct client, they have a trust in me, they have heard me, they have like I can directly deal with them. That's what I like.
Okay.
And Rajmeet, before we move on, because I'm really, I think, stuck on how well you did early on. Uh, what, getting that many people so quickly, I think, is rare for those coming in the industry. And there's a lot of people that may be listening that are just about to embark on that journey. So I'm wondering what you did, like some specifics and like without giving away the secret sauce, but like your first 30 days, for example, what did that look like? What did your first week, what did your first couple of weeks look like for you to be able to generate that? Was it from referral sources immediately? Was it from the radio show, or were there specific things that maybe you could share that others could look at and say, okay, that's a way for me to find that early success?
For sure, Ken. First of all, that secret sauce, I give it to all the agents. Whenever we hire, I do trainings with them. I give it to everyone, whatever they can do. One thing, again, I always come back to education and learning. I did not have anything tangible to sell, right? It was my products, my knowledge. So I actually started reading the broker kit of each and every lender and making my own notes just to absorb all the information, like what all is out there, what am I selling? So I need to have that information. And side by side, yes, there was cold calling. I just called real estate agents, and luckily it happened. Like I got a couple of deals from there, two from the agents themselves, like their own personal deals of refinance, and then some word of mouth started. Like, and then I would say till date, I feel that word of mouth is the most important tool. They can be your biggest mouthpiece. If he can again educate them in the right way and bring them out of what they are, like they're in a vicious circle of debt. I think with experience you will find your niche area, as there's so many products, so many ways like purchase, sale, debt consolidation, and all that, those kind of things. I like to work with clients who have bruised credit, or financially they are not doing very strong, like they are just in this vicious circle of debt. So I like to do debt consolidation, refinances. And I've worked with many clients, I would say, in these 8 years, where I have started from a private to consolidate their debts, move on to B, and then A. So gradually we have moved up, and I try to again educate them throughout the process that how we can improve our credit, how we can get there.
And that's amazing, because that's part of the financial literacy that you referenced earlier, is people understanding the life cycle of credit and understanding where they fall currently in that credit profile. And that's something that I think a lot of brokers need to focus more on, is that life cycle from doing a private mortgage and getting them into an A lender, which may be a few years down the road, which is fantastic because it gives you some stickiness with your clients. So you must have some very satisfied and long-term clients that you deal with.
That's right, always. And then again, as you said, like some brokers also need to learn this, that it's not a short-term gig. It's not like one private quick deal where you have charged them so much and that's pretty much it. No, they're the repeat clients. They are your mouthpiece. They are going to advertise you further, because when someone recommends and then they approach to you, that way the trust is already built there. Like you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to do that because they have gotten some recommendation that someone has experienced your service already.
Rashmeet, I'm curious about and as I mentioned, a lot of our listeners are maybe new to the industry or just about to join. What is a typical sort of day for maybe a new agent in their first year? Like, what does the role look like? What should they be considering? And what's important for them, like mindset? I'm just trying to get a bit of more of a detailed feel for what your experience was like when you came in. Was there anything that you found that was unexpected? Just curious what your thoughts are on that, like the details of the role, especially for those that are brand new.
Sure, Ken. Again, there are some rules and regulations, and some things I think come with experience only. I've made a lot of mistakes as well. Starting out, I can think of so many deals now that those things could have been avoided, that I could have saved my time because I knew they're not going to fund. There was one deal, I don't know at that point of time how it surpassed the lender as well. The file was all instructed, and the lawyer is calling me saying that, Rashmeet, we cannot fund this file. This has a collateral charge, a step program from Scotia. So we cannot put another lien on behind this one. And I just failed to understand. I was telling the lawyer, I'm like, everything is done, Manish, just close the file. What are you talking about? I don't know. Like, I did not know what collateral charge is, right? So that being said, um, after that incident, I bought Purview subscription, which I tell all the new agents. Like, I know it's money, but then again, you have to invest something, right, to get into the business so that you can save your time as well. So Purview gives you so much of information in terms of different kind of liens as well on the property. So that being said, if someone is new, one thing, learn about the products. And second, definitely have a growth mindset that you're going to do better. And prospecting. Initially, I tell everyone you don't have to start investing in something. Like, no ads are required to begin with, because if you are putting an ad somewhere and client is calling you, even if you have a lead, you might not be able to convert that into a deal, just because you would not know how to handle the client inquiry, and it's their biggest financial decision. So if you will not be able to handle it, or they would sense it that you're new, they might not like it, they might move away, right? So there's no point marketing. So when I started as well, it's funny, like, I used to sit in Akal's office, and Mahinder Pal, you must be knowing him, one of the owners of Akal. So he comes to me, he's like, Rashmeet, you got this Rookie of the Year award, put it in your office. I'm like, no, I don't want to, because clients would know that I'm new to the industry. I would not do that. So, but going forward, every year I was like one of the top producers, and I have all the plaques in the office, but not that Rookie of the Year award, because I never wanted the clients to know that I'm new to the industry. So you
You
don't.
could put it in now. It's been long enough where I think
Yes, maybe. I don't even know where that is, but that did not hold any importance for me, because I didn't want that to be on the wall. So yeah.
So, what you're having a lot of success in the industry. What then prompted your move to be principal broker? Maybe you can discuss with our listeners what a principal broker does and how you got there.
So yeah, again, started as an agent, did broker course. I was working happy, whatever I was doing. And I got this opportunity that Mandapal and Kuljit Singh, they were gracious enough, I would say, to offer this. And I think I was ready for it. And again, coming from my background, I feel that I can do that. Like it's as a principal broker, again, you have to do compliance and training. I like doing all that stuff because I think that's just within me. That's another passion of mine. So, and then again, I think life has come a full circle that I'm starting with MPC as their course instructor as well, starting next year. So
Nice.
I'm combining my passion of teaching and passion of mortgage together. So yeah, so that again back to principal broker. So that was from within when I was offered that option. I don't think so. I thought it twice. I was okay to go ahead.
And Rashmeet, I wanted to ask you about. You talked about like you're obviously very motivated. It seems you've done a lot, and you continue with education now, teaching. Do you have any sort of specific strategies that you use to keep your motivation high, to keep the correct mindset?
I think there came a point where I felt I was burnt out. I was working all the time. If I was up, I was working. So that made me realize that I have to do things differently to stay motivated as well. Like this cannot go on for long. So one thing I did was hired a full-time underwriter so that
Hmm.
because I like again talking to people. If so, my role would be that I take my calls, I discuss what the client situation is, tell them what can we offer, different solutions, and once they are okay to go ahead, then she takes over the file. That she'll be taking the documentation. So everything admin work has been taken care of. So I think that if I've made time for myself, that's again, it's motivation in the sense that now I can do other things and be happy as well. Because as I said, when I was burnt out, that was too much going on. Now I at least take out time from my day, a small break where I can go for yoga or my Pilates class. Every day is different. I do swimming. So I do something for myself that, just rejuvenates you, resets you. And then as a family, for past couple of years, we have decided that every quarter we try to take one vacation. So just
Oh, that's amazing.
something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this year's highlight was we did Australia, and it was a good break. So
When
these
did you
things like
go?
Australia, we did Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Gold Coast. So
Okay.
yeah, four places.
Because
So
one of our instructors, a couple of our staff members are Australian,
oh,
and one of our other staff just went to Australia for a vacation as well. So it seems to
nice.
be I don't know why it's so popular this year, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
was just
that's
one of
great.
the bucket list that we had to cover. So yeah, we tried to do that as family. It's funny, and my kids are younger. As my daughter is just 4. Just the Sunday swimming class, we got her report card for swimming, and in the car she goes, "Can I see my passport, Mama?" I'm like. That's not called passport. I started laughing, and then she corrected herself. She's like, "Can I see my boarding pass then?" So
That's
yeah,
great.
she's born. She's been traveling, so she feels that like she knows those words, but she doesn't know report card.
That's cute. I have a 5-year-old girl as well, and she loves the whole idea of traveling and being on the plane, and I think that really. I liked your point about making a trip every year and getting away to do yoga or do something for yourself every day. I think that's super important, especially in an industry that can be high stress, to maintain a very healthy sort of life blend between your role as a mortgage agent and everything else that you want to do, especially when you have kids, family. Um, is is that something that you've always done? I know you mentioned you burnt out, or was there a very specific moment where you're like, okay, now I have to be purposeful with this and schedule it because of that happened? Or is it, have you always had a little bit of that in your life? Just curious what the progression was. And I think it really speaks to those new coming in that having a plan now, I think, can be very critical.
Yeah, so I started Kane in 2016. That was towards the end, just got the license. So 2017 was my first full year. So I would say towards like 2020, 21, like 2020, when we were expecting the market would crash, it went the opposite way. I was so busy. Like, I remember there was a time that at one given time, I had like 17 files I was working on. So that means like taking in new clients, but working on those existing 17. So during the day, I was just taking calls. I was just talking to people, meeting people. And then in the evening, my used to like second day, I used to say it has started where I'm underwriting and fulfilling the conditions. So that was the time, like within few years of my start, that I felt that okay, this is too much. I cannot do it anymore. Around like 21, that's where I felt like this is it, and I started looking for someone. So I think 22 was the year when I hired someone full time. Yeah.
I think it's super important as you mentioned, but also because what you want to be doing ultimately is spending the most amount of your time doing what you feel is most valuable, right? Your highest and best use.
Yes.
And so I think it's not just about being burnt or like getting burnt out or making sure you manage stress, but also about why do you want to be spending your time underwriting when your money's probably better made with sales, service, marketing,
True.
that type of thing.
True, true. Yeah, I think things add up for sure. That is another reason, like where you good at, and that is something I, in fact, tell during our training as well for the newer agents. Like, if you feel that you can just be the underwriter, or if you feel that you can bring in the clients, but you don't want to work, we do have underwriters, in-house underwriters at Akal as well. That if someone, which people do, like in the team, if they don't want to work on the file, or they have their own full-time jobs, they don't want to underwrite the file or go through the process. They are not in a mindset of, learning anything new. They will just pass on the file because they feel they're still getting the same commission. So everyone is at a different stage of life. So whatever they prefer. So yeah, we do. That is true for myself as well, that I freed up my time and then I have more time to talk to people and meet people.
That's great.
And
When you spoke earlier about cold calling real estate agents, maybe going with the theme of new agents and getting business. What was that like, having to cold call? And do you have any suggestions how to make that easier? Because that doesn't ever come up on one of the benefits of being a mortgage agent or, real estate broker, life insurance agent, is that cold calling. So how did you, if you did, maybe it never got to be fun, but how did you deal with that?
For sure, Joe. Like, first thing, yes, it wasn't easy, and it was out of my comfort zone. I was not very comfortable doing that as well. But I thought I have to start from somewhere to try it out, like how things work, right? So for newer agents, I would say don't get discouraged. First of all, like I give my example now personally, that there's so many people who call me to get the business now. It can be the lawyers or the real estate agents, insurance brokers, so many. And you can just work with handful. You cannot work with everyone, right? So I just give them this example that I don't have any ill intent, that I don't want to work with someone. I take their call, I tell them, okay, we'll look into it, but I might not be able to send them any business. So that being said, don't get discouraged and move on. Try someone next, because if they have been in industry for long, they must be working with someone. So that being said, maybe start with a newer real estate agent where they need someone, and you educate them with different kind of programs. Again, education, like if you know your products, like our bro product where clients don't have sufficient down payment, like shared equity program, if you're
Mm-hmm.
aware of. So that being said, like, you tell them how you can add value to them to their business, how you can educate their clients if they don't have 20%, but they're looking for a house, how we can do things differently.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The whole concept of not getting discouraged, though, takes some. Sometimes it takes a special person to be able to go through that, right? You have to be able to look in the mirror every morning and say, you know what, I've gotten some no's, and it is discouraging, right? And nobody likes to hear a no, but you're right. It's really important to just keep driving forward. And
Yeah.
did that open many doors for you when you were talking to real estate agents? Did that start to generate any other relationships outside of just those individuals you were calling?
It just happened to be that I started working with one person,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a team of three, like three agents were working together. So those three, but I got like I think two or three deals from them. But then again, the existing clients, the client where I closed one of their deals, that moved on to the next one, to the next one. So yeah, that is, I just got the exposure, I would say, and I got the hang of it. I'm like, okay, I'm getting it how things are done.
Yeah, I love the idea of education, and obviously you're very well versed, you know your stuff. I think that's super important. Being a student, sort of everything, being a student of life, and then wanting to also educate. Is that like now? So you've done it, and now going into or you've transitioned into the principal broker role. And now you've talked a couple of times about hiring agents and training agents. Is that something that you look for? Like, do you have a list of like a short list of things that you're looking for when hiring a new agent and trying to assess whether or not they're going to also be successful?
Yeah. So, Ken, I do not do direct hiring. I have two hiring managers, but at the same time, they have gotten these instructions like, what are we looking for? I like to hire people where they are committing to at least the trainings we do. So as soon as we hire someone, we do one orientation meeting. There, I give them a brief idea about ourselves, about Akal mortgages, and then at the same time, I give them an idea about different products so that at least they get started. And then after that, we do a 3-day boot camp, which is like talking about a life cycle of the whole deal, like how to get a deal, by different ways of marketing and stuff. Then different products, different lenders, their guidelines, then how to underwrite a deal in the system. So how do we use Filogics to underwrite a deal and then submit to the lender, and then how to audit the file? So 3 full days of training is there then for those newer agents. And once that is done, and for those trainings, I feel commitment is required. If they commit, that is one thing we are looking for hiring, that they're committing to those trainings, and then they're committing to our Thursday meetings. So as you know, like Akal Mortgages is a franchisee of Mortgage Alliance. So Mortgage Alliance does weekly meetings, 10 to 11:30 on Wednesdays. We do for a call 10 to 11:30 on Thursdays. So in that meeting, I do like market update, deal of the week, a tough deal we saw, and what did we do? Because every time, see, those are learning moments, even for me as well. Sometimes some agent presents something. It's not like we have to experience every mistake to learn through it. We can learn from others' mistakes as well, or any challenging deal. So, that being said, when we are hiring a newer agent, we are looking for commitment. Even if they are full time working somewhere else, they have that business planning in mind that within next 6 to 9 months they want to transition and then contribute in the industry itself, just to by learning the products and coming to the meetings, attending the trade shows. So that's the basic requirement is what we look at.
Do you find that most new agents or new hirees gravitate towards that training, that they enjoy it? Is there any hesitation on doing the training?
I believe most of them join. Like we have staggered it, the boot camp into 3 Mondays so that they can take a day off. We tell them well in advance that this is the days. So I believe a lot of them join. Only thing is that there's a lot of information to pass on, right?
Hmm.
Like after the course as well, there is so much to do in the practical world, like how things work. That being said, um, if they don't implement that all the knowledge in next couple of weeks, they'll forget, right? So
Right.
that like I keep on emphasizing on the fact that make notes. I know I'm talking about a lot of things, but sometimes some things might not make sense now, would make sense later, because you might not know some word or terminology if I'm using. And ask questions, because when it is a live discussion, that way is like if there are questions there, everyone learns from those questions to begin with. So that is what is promoted. And again, I would say maybe 50-50. Some people are very active in those trainings. And then right there, I think you get to know that who will be going forward.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of sense.
I'm really wondering if someone is trying to make an assessment as to whether or not this might be the right industry or right type of industry for them. I think something that you've said is willingness to learn, having the right mindset, and drawing, like having being committed to the role. Is there any specific attributes that you think are best suited for this industry? Maybe in addition to those, or I guess even more than that, is there any type of person or type of attribute that people have that you can say, maybe they're not suited for this type of industry?
Sure, Kane. For if I say that someone is suited, or if you want to come into this industry, I think another point to all those points you mentioned is discipline. You really need to be disciplined, especially if you're coming from a job sector, right? Because you do not have any fixed mandate here. No one is going to tell you what to do. Like, we'll give training and that's it. With those trainings, what we do, some become top producer and some leave the industry, right? It's the same kind of industry. So how do you differentiate yourself, like as an individual? Because I always say this thing that every second individual has this license. Let's be honest here, that everyone who's thinking of a second gig, like with the COVID, you have seen that gig economy went so much up that so many people were looking into two jobs because everyone was working from home. So that being said, you have to be disciplined. Maybe block your calendar, like this to this time I'm going to do prospecting. Like in the beginning, very beginning, take 2 hours a day. Like you have to make those calls, even if you're working full time, maybe in the evening. If your calendar is blocked, if your mindset is there, if you're disciplined enough, I think anyone can do this one. It's not rocket science. And again, for admin part, there we have other options for underwriter as well if you don't want to do it. But that would be a starting point for those who feel that they can be disciplined enough, can fit into this business. And I do not see Ken, to be honest, who will not. Even if I talk about this thing, like to begin with, I would say I was not a people's person. Like I worked with kids all throughout my life, but I found it hard. Let's be honest here. Initial years were very stressful, where people were not very kind enough to, like, the way to deal with people. I remember once, like very initial days, I had started this radio show. My slot was at around 6:20. So it's a Punjabi ethnic radio show. Before my call, there is some spiritual thing going on. After my call was a spiritual thing. In between, they had given me that slot. I used to make that call in the morning. Right after my call, so that's live on air, right? So right after
Hmm.
my call, I put down my phone and someone called me back. They're like, we are so connected with God, and you come in between and start talking about mortgages. So, so
Uh,
that being said, there were situations I did not know how to handle how people think. So again, you can come out of your shell. I believe it's everyone can do it. Simple.
Yeah, that's a great story, and a real testament to your dedication and your perseverance. The word resilience gets tossed around a lot, but I think that's a testament to your resilience as well. That it's necessary, as you say, to keep going. Right? You have to, and you have to keep going. What do you think is when it comes to these new agents? What do you think is more important initially, being able to source new business and get out there and talk to people, as many people as possible, or learn the technicalities of underwriting? Or is there one that is more important to you?
Joe, that is something I always talk about in my trainings, that do not keep on waiting that you will learn everything first and then go out in the market. And there cannot be a way to do that because there's no open book here. You will learn quite a few things with experience as well, right? So that being said, it goes hand in hand, but at the same time, invest some initial time to understand the products before you are going to not even meet a client but a referral partner, because then again, what are you selling? There's no product here, there's nothing tangible here, so you have to talk about your knowledge, like how you can help them. So that being said, you definitely need to know some stuff, but then get going. And then even if you don't have a real deal, an active deal, I always say maybe make dummy deals. Think about your situation, how things can change, how numbers can change. At least learn how to make debt ratios, something which we have done in the course, but let's do it practically. Let's learn how to make those debt ratios and decide maybe that if it's a deal, a B deal, a private deal, where we can fit in. So yeah, that ways, again, all those trainings help the agents to come out and understand how the real world works.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I think Rajmi, it's interesting that I think we're really lucky to talk to you, being sort of newer in the industry, but newer as a leader, right? And as a leader in the industry. And I mention that because I'm wondering what you think is going to happen with the role of the mortgage broker, especially with the introduction of a lot of the technology that we're seeing now and have seen over the last couple of years. Do you think that's going to have an effect on the industry and the role of the broker?
Definitely. But I think it's a good thing. One thing I'm looking forward or waiting for is if they can introduce the fact that CRA is linked and we have all the income documents from there. That is something I am a strong advocate of that. I keep on talking to Kuljit because he's one of the directors with MPC, that if we can come up with this, they keep on talking. It's been for years now. If something like that technology should come into the part. But
Yeah.
other things, I think again, it's good to have. We as a brokerage, Akal Mortgages, we are looking into getting a software as well, where we can filter the documents, where we can get to know if there is any fraudulent documents coming in. That being said, regarding AML as well, yes, a lot of responsibility lies on us as well, and we are training the agents like how we can do that, just to make sure that there is no identity fraud. There are incidents like just 2 weeks back, one of my agents, and he's a very experienced one, and he was able to catch that fraud, but many new agents might not be able to. Like, the client was pretending to be a doctor, and the agent right away looked on Google. They were not able to find them, and they said, okay, do you have your license number? And they actually sent the certificate to them from University of Toronto. The moment agent was asking a document, the document was right there. The document was right there every time, whatever they asked. So the client was all well prepared, but then again, we could not connect the dots, and we felt the documents were all fraud. So that being said, a lot of onus lies on us as mortgage brokers as well. So we need to do our due diligence. That's what we aim for from our agents as well, and we keep on propagating the same things. Hopefully, we'll do better. I think it's good. But sometimes, to add to it, I would say I feel that it's not a level playing field if we compare to the banks, because there are different sometimes requirements. Some clients we might say no, they might get approved from the bank. So yeah, we need to go. We are there, but still a lot to cover.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next few years, isn't it? As things continue to change, technology continues to change and make the role easier. But as you were saying, as technology changes, when it comes to fraud, it's easier to create documents, right? You get those documents right away because they're so easy to forge. But that's an important point that you made, I think, for agents to always be on the lookout, not to assume that somebody's committing some type of fraud, but to look out for those red flags. And that's something I think that our industry does a good job at in comparison, to other industries. I think we've been educated on that for a while, and yeah. It's really important to look out for that fraud. So, you've said a lot today. You've covered a lot of topics, and I think, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's almost an hour's flown by, just like, those 8 years have flown by. This hour has flown by. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything else you want to chat about, for our listeners that you think they might benefit from hearing?
I think, again, as you said, I've covered quite a bit. But then again, if someone is thinking to come into this industry, I would say, by all means, just come with a right mindset and with dedication that you are going to excel. As I said, I was also exploring different options, but try to see what resonate with you. And if you can do it, commit to it, by all means, step up. And if you need any help, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Great point. And you know what? Hopefully those thinking about coming into the industry see this and think that, you're a good home for them, because you bring a lot of sincerity and a lot of passion to the role. And I think that's exactly what people need, especially those coming into this industry from other industries. They're changing their life. They're making a career change. They need that dedication and the help that you bring to the table. So thank you for your passion in this industry.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, Joe. Thanks, Ken.
It's been a pleasure. We look forward to hearing about your successes, and we're gonna love to have you back on in another year thereabouts to see how this past year has been. Yeah, we look forward to it.
For sure. Sounds good. Yep. Thank you very much. And as I said, It was a pleasure for me as well. Never thought of it like that 1 week course I would do from Remick, and here I will be. So yeah, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. And congratulations to you. You've been from hiding that first award that you got to all the other awards that you now have out there so everyone can see them. Congratulations on such a fantastic career so far, and all the best for this upcoming 2025.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the $1 Billion Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.
For more in-depth entrepreneurial insights, follow us on social media, and for more info on the show, go to billiondollarpodcast.com.
See you next time.